Hi everyone, and welcome to Jane Talks Real. It's Slayer Sunday, where I will be talking about and reviewing all the episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer in order. Today I'm looking at Season 1, Episode 2, The Harvest. We pick up where we left off with Luke nomming down on Buffy, but I guess that cross necklace Angel gifted her came in handy because Luke is all like, it burns! Buffy kicks him away and skedaddles into the night. She comes across Willow, who is under attack, and beats some vampire ass. Now it's Xander's turn to be saved, as he's currently being dragged away like Lady Demetresque is going to eat him. She makes short work of the vamps, or at least one of them. Who knows what alternate dimension the other one fell into? Buffy wants to know what happened to Jesse. Willow doesn't know, but Xander says Darla grabbed him. Buffy dramatically whispers, "Jesse!" into the wind, and it's on to the credits. Giles and his spinning globe is giving a history lecture to the gang, but Xander and his bizarre mushroom shirt struggles to grasp the concept of actual vampires being a legit thing. Jesse, meanwhile, is in big trouble and looks like a twig being flung around by Brian Thompson's 6'2" physique. He's supposed to be an offering for the Master, but Darla stupidly lets slip that she's already had a taste. The Master goes on a tirade about how long he's been stuck in the shit cave while people like Darla get to roam free. Side note, if I were Jesse, I'd at least try to run. Luke may be strong, but he looks pretty outrunnable. Darla tells the Master about Buffy and Luke backs her up. The Master must have read the script because he correctly identifies her as a Slayer. Now before we move on, I love seeing what the actors look like in real life, so here is Mark Metcalf without his Master makeup on. Anyway, Xander is still struggling to grasp all this shit, so Giles breaks it down for him.
The Slayer hunts vampires. Buffy is a Slayer, don't tell anyone. Well, I think that's all the vampire information you need.
Willow suggests they call the police, but that idea is shot down. Buffy knows the vampires have Jesse, but they don't know where he is. Their best bet is the sewers, but they don't have access to that kind of information. Willow has an idea, though. Meanwhile, the Master gets all snarky towards Luke, who looks like a sad puppy, until he realises that Jesse can be used as bait. Aw, look how happy he is. Willow proves she's an elite hacker by decrypting the City Council security system and getting the sewer plans they need. Buffy starts ranting about how useless everything is until she has a light bulb moment and realises that Luke grabbed her from behind while she was facing the door, so the crypt must be the entrance to their hideout. Xander becomes Mr. Grumpy Pants when Buffy won't let him help, but Giles recruits Willow to research the harvest. Let's see, Harvest Festival, Harvest Moon... here we go. Rivers of Blood and Hell on Earth. Nice. Buffy goes strutting out of school, but Principal Flutie catches her and she strokes the fence as an excuse. Ooh, fence. Flutie then closes and locks the gate, which is either a major fire hazard or it makes me wonder why it was open to begin with. Flutie is happy he's been a good principal, but as soon as his back is turned, Buffy jumps over the gate. Man, that has got to put pressure on the knees. Question? Why doesn't Buffy just go out here? There is no fence, no gate, and in fact, I don't think this plot convenience fence makes another appearance ever again. Xander and Willow have an awkward conversation in the hall, and you know Xander is planning on going after Buffy. Wait, how is he gonna get past the magic fence? Buffy returns to the crypt, and did someone tidy up in here? Who knew vampires had the funds to hire a maid? Buffy approaches the door and Angel is behind her. Where exactly did he come from? Because, spoiler alert, he's a vampire, so he didn't come from outside. And Buffy looked around the crypt before approaching the door. What, did he catch the flu network or something? Anyway, Angel and his huge cuffs tells Buffy that vampires don't like him A, dropping in, and B, at all. Buffy isn't surprised, but still doesn't twig that he's a vampire. It seems so obvious to me. Angel is being all smug and cryptic, and Buffy's all like, that's nice, see ya! Angel doesn't want her to go down there, but Buffy makes a comment about knowing what it's like to have a friend, and he gets all sad. He tells her she might want to take the stairs to the left and sends her on her way. These tunnels are dank and full of rats. Hey, I loved you in Mission Impossible! We get some POV shots like we're playing Nightmare, and I'm wondering why Buffy is strolling into this nest of vampires without any visible weapons. Xander jump scares her and says he couldn't just sit at home and do nothing. Hey dude, you wouldn't have been sat at home. You skipped school, remember? You're supposed to be in class. Buffy tells him to go away, but after a brief staring contest, she relents and lets him go with her. As they talk about how to kill vampires, Xander shines his torch at the camera like he's in the opening credits of The Famous Five. Buffy tells him to turn it off, but continues to talk really loudly. One weird transition later, and Giles establishes through muttering to himself that the harvest is tonight. Meanwhile, Cordelia is having computer problems and chatting with her underling Harmony, who's going to be semi-important in upcoming seasons. Cordelia is talking smack about Buffy and how crazy she is to her and this random skater bro. Willow speaks up to defend her and Cordelia shuts her down.
Excuse me? Who gave you permission to exist? Do I horn in on your private discussions? No. Why? Because you're boring.
However, Willow gets the last laugh when she gives Cordelia bad IT advice and she loses all her work. Xander and Buffy continue through the tunnels and come across Jesse, who seems unconscious until he jumps up and suddenly hugs Xander. Red alert! Red alert! He is not okay on an epic scale. They take off but run into a vampire with a beautiful smile. Time to run the other way. Jesse leads them to a dead end and reveals that he is a vampire. No surprise. Xander apologizes to him, but it should be the makeup team apologizing because poor Eric Balfour is struggling big time to talk with those teeth in. Realizing that Jesse is beyond help, Xander shoves a cross in his face and Buffy yeets him out of the door. Ooh, nice nails! Buffy and Xander try to figure a way out of this mess and spy a vent as the vamps break in. Our heroes Bruce Willis the way to freedom and the safety of the sunlight, while the Master is pissed that Buffy got away, and this red shirt cannon fodder vampire starts making excuses. The Master is not happy with him and pokes his eye out as punishment. Thankfully this is done off screen. Could you imagine how gross it would be if the show actually depicted someone getting their eye gouged out on screen? That would be unthinkable. Willow visits Giles with research about horrible bloody murders, and he is pleased. Luke and his massive arms start sniffing the Master's hand while Darla watches. This is some ritual.
My blood is your blood.
Gross.
My soul is your soul.
You don't have a soul, buddy.
My body is your instrument.
Kinky. The Master explains to a delighted Darla that Luke is the vessel and everybody he kills will make the Master stronger. He's also super into his makeup skills. Buffy breaks the bad news to Willow about Jesse while Xander takes his rage out on a poor innocent Bin. He announces that he hates vampires, something that will become a plot point going forward. Giles makes the day even worse by telling them it's the end of the world. Thanks, Giles. He gives a brief history lesson on the Master and the Hellmouth, which basically goes like this. The Master rocked up to Sunnydale because the Hellmouth is a must-visit tourist spot. He tried to open said Hellmouth to bring on a reign of terror, but an earthquake happened and buried him. He ended up stuck, and the harvest is designed to get him unstuck. Xander helps by establishing that the ritual will take place at the Bronze. Buffy stops by her house to pick up supplies, but is mum blocked. Because she skipped school today, Joyce and her mum hair won't let Buffy go out. Buffy does what any self-respecting teenager would do. She arms herself to the teeth and climbs out the window. In the Bronze, Cordelia is being shallow again and smack talks Jessie before being a bitch to one of her underlings. Don't worry, she's not always going to be this obnoxious. She goes to dance and Jessie appears, tells her to shut up and steals a dance. Darla, Luke and the rest of the Bumpyhead posse rock up to the Bronze and force the bouncer inside. They cut the power and Luke goes up on stage like he's a rock star. He's ready to feed and the poor bouncer is up first. See ya, buddy. The dorkiest rescue squad ever realise they're locked out and have to find another way in. Giles gets too real when he tells Xander that that's not Jesse in there, it's the monster that killed him. Another victim, and the Master is growing stronger. Jesse sulks when Darla takes Cordelia off him. Buffy breaks in next to a fancy lamp. She listens to Luke spout nonsense and amazing! This soulless killing machine is on spotlight duty? Luke is annoyed that no one is appreciating his speech enough to volunteer, so Darla offers him Cordelia. As tempting as it is to allow Luke to eat the mean girl at school, Buffy intervenes. She does a lot of unnecessary flipping and then dusts some vampire with a pool cue. Just like everyone else, Luke has had enough of Cordelia and pushes her away. Buffy flips some more and the fight is on. Punches are thrown and Buffy gets twatted into some boxes. Giles, Xander and Willow manage to break in and start shepherding people out of there. A vampire grabs Xander and we get an awesome kill when Buffy beheads him with a flying cymbal. Nice! While Buffy is laughing at Xander's lame pun, Luke grabs her and Jessie is all over Cordelia like a creeper. On top of that, Darla attacks Giles, so everyone is in deep shit right now. Xander tries to talk Jessie around despite Giles' previous warning, but it's hopeless. Time for everyone to fight back. Buffy plays possum and gets Luke away from her. Willow chucks holy water in Darla's face, who screams like a banshee and runs off, and Xander accidentally stakes Jessie with the help of a fleeing clubgoer. Buffy tricks Luke into thinking the sun is up and stakes him. He does a wicked stage dive and the Master's day is ruined. A blue-tinted Buffy glares at the remaining vampires and they flee into the night, past Angel, who is like, well damn, she actually did it. The four main characters regroup and then it's the next morning, and no one seems to give a crap about what happened the night before. Cordelia continues the rumour that it was a freak show of rival gangs. The episode concludes with some sitcom-type music, and Giles deciding that the Earth is doomed. Okay, so thoughts on this one. It's definitely more action-packed than the previous episode with a big event like the Harvest happening. This is the first of many, many times that Buffy will prevent the apocalypse. Buffy seems really invested in Jesse even though she only met him a day before in Welcome to the Hellmouth. And Willow and Xander are all very much Team Buffy after a single day. This episode raises a few plot questions for me, like the magic fence of convenience and where the hell Angel appeared from, but I think this is the result of it still being a brand new show. Also a result of this is the budget, where a lot of the deaths are off-screen because dusting vampires is expensive. I know Buffy is a teenage girl, but she makes some pretty questionable decisions in this episode, like going into the sewers with little to no weaponry, and also not being cautious of Jesse acting really weird when they find him. I'm also a little bummed out that we lose Brian Thompson so quickly, but he'll be back briefly, albeit in a different role. Overall, I enjoyed this episode because it crammed a lot into 45 minutes. It continues the Master's story and develops a dynamic between the main characters. It also sets up bits of plot points for future story arcs. This show does that a lot. A throwaway comment in one episode can come back in a big way seasons later. I'll try to point out as many as I can as I go along. This episode's main ones are Angel saying, "I'll be damned," further hinting at him being a vampire, and Xander saying he doesn't like vampires, which will go on through the series. We have 7 deaths in this episode and 1 transformation. I know Jesse technically dies to become a vampire, but I'm counting things differently. So there are 2 human deaths, the bouncer and the blonde girl who get killed by Luke. The 1 transformation obviously is Jesse, but it's not established who his sire is. My guess would be Darla. And there are 5 vampire deaths. The one that Buffy kills at the beginning, the one she stakes with a pool cue at the bronze, the one beheaded with the symbol, Jesse who was killed by Xander, and finally Luke who was killed by Buffy. That gives us a running total of 3 human deaths, 1 transformation, and 6 vampire deaths. Just a quick note before we finish, I know the Harvest was a continuation of Welcome to the Hellmouth, but I counted it as 2 different episodes. However, for 2-parters that have the same name, like What's My Line Part 1 and 2, I will cover them in a double-length episode of Slayer Sunday. So there you have it, that was the Harvest. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below or come say hi on Twitter. If you enjoyed this video then please like, share and subscribe. I'll speak to you soon, and don't let the vampires bite.